Now it's been another packed and exciting Premier League weekend, and to discuss the games and the big games, and there were a number of them, I'm joined now by John Giles. John, the games are coming thick and fast. The players were playing Champions League and Europa League in the middle of last week. They'll be playing them again in the middle of this week. It really is very hectic, and you can see in some of the injuries that players are going down with hamstrings and groin strains and calf muscle injuries. But there was still some very interesting and informative games this weekend. Let's start with Spurs and Arsenal and our old friend Jose Mourinho, top of the league now. And it was a pretty comprehensive demolition job on Arsenal. I know we were talking during the game how impressed you've been, and for quite some time now, by Son and Harry Kane, of course. And they did the damage yesterday. And particularly the first goal from Son was a superb goal. Kane was involved in the move, and then Son made a goal for Kane just before half-time. What do you make of the job that Jose's done there?
Well, I think he's gone back to his original state, Eamon, which is to get the defence organised and getting everybody really, really defending well from the front to the back, and everything going for the team.
Yeah.
I think when he went to Manchester United, Eamon, he didn't get that.
Yeah.
First of all, he had a big problem with Pogba. Pogba, when he first went to the club, Eamon, he said Pogba was a world-class player. And I don't think he ever believed that. I think he was making it easy for the head guy to pay the money for
Woodward,
Pogba.
Yeah.
So that's my take on that. So he never got Pogba. He never got that team playing in a way that he could dominate in the way that he did with Chelsea and other teams.
Yeah,
and I think when he lost that, he lost Mourinho. You know?
And in a way, John, because it was Manchester United, that would also be alien to Manchester United's traditions, wouldn't it? In a big way. Yeah, but that wouldn't have bothered him, Eamon. Right.
You know what I mean? The point I'm trying to make here is he never got the Manchester players, particularly Pogba, to sign on to what he really needed and wanted and believed in.
Yes.
Which was first of all, to get the defence right.
Yeah.
That's where, if you go back on Chelsea and all the teams, they always defended well. In fact, he had the name of being a defensive manager.
Yeah.
But he never got that at Manchester. I know he was only there a short time, but he never got that at Manchester United. Now, since gone to Spurs, the big factor there is Dele Alli. Dele Alli was a star player. He was a bit of a pup, in my opinion.
Yes.
And he won't have him at all.
No, he's out. Yeah.
He's out. I don't think he was even in the squad. So he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do in an honest way, in my opinion, and although he's a talented lad. So all the players that it looks now at Spurs, they've signed on to him, Eamon.
Yes.
You know, they're doing it. They're doing it at the back. They're working hard. They've got Kane and they've got Son. But he always had good players up front, Eamon.
Yeah.
But sorry, to get back to your point, they're terrific. I love the two of them, but Son particularly, Eamon.
Yeah.
He just gets on with the job. There's no messing about with him at all. Harry Kane does as well. Now, he's dropped a bit deeper, Harry Kane. I think it's made him better.
Yeah.
And with those two up front, capable of getting goals between them, Eamon, then, you know, definitely Spurs are on a winner at the moment.
Yeah, and he's moved a player that neither of us really like, Dyer, as a midfield player. Is a bit of a statue, although he still plays for England. But he's moved him into the back four, where there's more employment for a statue. And he's got Alderweireld. And Sissoko, who is a workhorse, kind of patrols that zone just in front of the back four. And there's another signing, Højbjerg, who is a real hard man. I think you'd probably admire him as well. He's a digger in midfield. So he has a nice balance there between the various players. Alderweireld, of course, very experienced player. And he signed a player called Rugelon, left back, who's a very good player. So he has made some signings, low-key maybe. Lo Celso's another one who started yesterday. He's the guy who came on and got the second goal against Manchester City. So he has a strong enough squad to be a team that will contend and should get a Champions League spot, if not go all the way.
Well, yeah, I think he's getting from the players what he wants to get from them, Eamon. You know, he has them well organised. But they're all playing in a way like they've signed on to him. There's no doubt that they're doing they're doing what he's telling them to do, or asking them to do, whatever way he's doing it. And there's no doubt about that. And moving Dyer back, Dyer was always a centre half, Eamon. If he was anything,
yes,
he was never a midfield player. But they have this hold of midfield. But he's put him out back, and they're very solid at the back now.
Yes,
Eamon.
yeah,
and prepared. Like when the opposition have the ball, they get deep. Kane gets back, Son gets back. Sometimes 11 players go outside of the ball, which is fair enough because they're going to break. They're going to break from that particular position. So his attitude is back to where it always has been. We're not going to give anything away. So if we nick one, we nick two, that's it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they dominate. But mostly in these great days with Chelsea and that, it was from the defensive situations that he really, really did his stuff. And he's got these lads now really playing for him. And he's got the players in there now that he wants to defend. And of course, with Son and Harry Kane up front, I mean, they're capable to do it, the two of them on the run, which they did at the weekend, Eamon, as you said early on. You know, between the two of them, they got the 2 goals.
Yep.
And they're deadly, just deadly at it.
Now, Arsenal, John, Mikel Arteta played for Arsenal, went and worked as assistant to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. When he first came to Arsenal, he put a bit of shape on the team and there was a little bit of optimism. But boy, they really don't have a lot of character, some of these guys. Aubameyang scored 1 goal this season. Now, he has looked a goal machine for a couple of years, but they gave him a new contract. It's 350 grand a week, which is the same as Ozil is on. That seems to be a bad number because Pogba's on around that as well. But he's not doing a tap. Lacazette not doing a tap. Xhaka, another player who really isn't your type, is he? Xhaka in particular.
No, I wouldn't have Xhaka at all, Eamon.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have him in the club.
No,
you know, and it's a difficult time for Arteta now because he's there long enough, Eamon, to put his stamp on it.
Yeah,
like Mourinho has done. You know, and I think he's definitely put his stamp on it. Arteta, I would say, has gone backwards.
Yes,
if anything. I mean, the fact that Xhaka is still in the team, and there's a call now I hear from the Arsenal supporters to get Ozil back.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
you know, like
the longer you're out, we know that syndrome. The longer you're out injured, the better player you used to be.
Yeah, but you know, it's a bad sign that anybody's thinking of getting Ozil. But Xhaka is still there, and as you say with Aubameyang, I mean, he was carrying them last year.
Yeah,
I mean. And it's happened before. You know, lads get a big contract and not quite the enthusiasm there that you had before to do what needed to be done. Yeah. And it's happened before. It's not the first time now. Aubameyang might be just having a bad. Well, he is having a bad time. It mightn't be because of that, but it's a bit suspicious if you want to look at it that way. Signed a big contract, haven't done everything, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, Manchester United. John, West Ham. David Moyes, of course, at West Ham now for his second stint as coach there. And United pretty dead and hopeless in the first half. With Pogba back starting in the side but strolling around in midfield, not doing very much. He rested the Bruno Fernandes. He rested Cavani. No, he didn't start it. He rested Rashford, rather. Started Cavani. And he had to bring them on because they're 1-0 down. And now they have a big game in Leipzig tomorrow. And that's very much in their mind because they could be out of the Champions League by the end of matters tomorrow night. The Fernandes coming on, John, he just is such a good player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very, very good. And they brought Rashford on as well.
Yes.
I'd say he gave him a bit of a telling off at half-time as well, and haven't had the first performance. Whether he did or not, I don't know. But the two players made a huge difference.
Yeah.
But there was a huge point in the match, for the first goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? When the ball was looked definitely out of play.
Oh yeah, for United's first goal.
For United's first goal, and that changed the game in a big way. But I was looking at it afterwards, Eamon, and because the linesman, they were blaming the linesman for it, which he was. But actually, I watched it afterwards carefully to see the linesman wasn't watching the ball; he was looking for an offside.
Yeah,
Eamon.
that's right. And the funny thing is, VAR didn't have that covered. They didn't have that camera angle. But there's no doubt in my mind that it went out of play, and there was no doubt in David Moyes' mind either, because it went over his head.
Went over his head, yeah. So that was a big, But to get back to that changed a lot. I mean, obviously did Manchester a lot of good, but getting Fernandes, their attitude as well picked up in the second half, Eamon.
Yeah.
But Fernandes definitely changed it for them. He's a very, very, very good player, and I think you had to bring him on, Eamon.
Yes.
We had to bring him on because they were so bad. And Rashford did his stuff, agreeing with that. There are a lot of talented players, but the attitude has to be right week in and week out. I think we spoke about it last week on your programme, Eamon. That's inconsistent.
Yeah,
You call it inconsistency. It means you're not up for every match in the way that you should be.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about Mourinho now with Spurs. He has them playing. He's doing it week in and week out now.
Yeah.
Eamon. Spurs are doing it week in. In Solskjaer's case, it's now and again. First half terrible, second half very good.
Yeah.
Like they did Southampton. I think they've done it a few times this season.
Yes.
But that consistency of performance should be there by now.
And Pogba delivered the first goal, pass from Fernandes, but it was a superb strike from Pogba. Didn't give the keeper much of a chance. So that was him. He's paying his €100 million transfer fee back in instalments. But
it was a great goal.
He's a bit behind on his instalments.
Yeah, the interest is piling up. I mean, but it was. I mean, obviously Fernandes did well, had it back, but he hit it really well. But that's Pogba. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he is a talented guy. There's no doubt about that. I think he's great talent, but you have to apply that week in and week out.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Fernandes since he's come to the club.
Yeah.
He's a talented lad, but you can see his attitude. It's attitude you start off with. You're not going to be playing well every week, but you have to have the right attitude every week.
Yeah.
And that's what's lacking in Manchester. Sometimes they show at Manchester United and they're very good, and a lot of times they don't show it, which that leads to the inconsistency and not being up there with the big boys. They're really up there with the big boys at the moment.
Yeah, and lack of leaders, and enough leaders in the team. Fernandes very much in that category, I would say, of being a leader. The manager's the real leader. I mean, of course,
as you know, the manager, he has to start, and then you get the manager. Like when Ferguson was there, Ferguson was the boss. He frightened the life out of them when he had to.
Yeah.
But he had Keane on the pitch and a few others on the pitch to do it for him. But he demanded it.
Yeah,
he demanded that.
And I was thinking about Fernandes after the game and what he contributes, which is massive. In the Ferguson teams, you'd have 5 or 6 guys all contributing. Contributing, as you say, every week. Just a question.
Every week, yeah.
A question, United fans, I know will be interested, and I'm curious myself. Van de Beek, the player they got from Ajax, came with a fairly big reputation, paid 40 million for him. Hasn't started many games, and you wouldn't know why that is, but he looks a bit like a copy of Fernandes, only not such a good copy. He's not really a genuine playmaker either, is he?
No, I mean, I think he's had a bad time, really, to be honest, I mean, because he plays in a certain position which is really just not far behind the strikers.
Yes.
That's the way I see him. I see him as a goal-scoring striker. A midfield a striker. And similar to Fernandes, only Fernandes does a lot more.
Yes.
But he hasn't had the chance to settle down, this lad.
No.
I think if you're looking at the transfers, the people to bring in, you have to have a balance to it, Amy.
Yes.
And I think he's a good player. Yeah. I really do. What I've seen of him so far, I think he's a very talented lad. I think he would do very well if Fernandes wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Funny enough,
Yeah.
Because I don't think he knows where to go when Fernandes is playing. Because Fernandes covers that ground and he scored in goals as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit unfair on him I think they've spent about 40 million on him.
They did, yeah.
I think that money would have been better spent elsewhere. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit unfair on the lad. I think he looks a good player. I think he would be a good player if in another team, Eamon, or if Fernandes wasn't there. I don't think he could do what Fernandes does. I don't think he's as good as him.
No.
But he hasn't had the opportunity to do it in the position that that really is his position.
I note that the reports, and they're well sourced, say that Fernandes is going to get a big wage rise. They're going to double his wages. He was on 100 grand and he's going to be on 200 grand with the new contract. So that means he'll only be 150 grand a week behind Paul Pogba. Now, think about that.
Yeah.
The other game I know you were watching with your Leeds shirt on was Chelsea Leeds. Leeds took the lead. And one has to say, John, that Bielsa he's a hell of a coach. But watching the match, I thought they were amazing. And we've seen quite a bit of them now in the Premier League. Their energy, their commitment to getting bodies in the opponent's box. I thought it's not the first time that in the last half hour of a game, there isn't quite the spring in the step. Now, it might be because in this circumstance, Chelsea were the opposition and are really a very good side.
Yeah, I think they'll be like that, Eamon. You know, I don't think they have the players really to slow the game down at a certain period if and when they get in front. I think they just go, and that's it. And obviously they're going to run out of energy at some particular stage. But I don't think, you see, I think with Bielsa, you can't go halfway. Do you know what I mean? You can't say to them, this is what I want you to do, but if you get a little bit tired, this is what I want you to do. You know, that's what he believes in, that's what he does. And I think what they have to do, Eamon, really, to get in front, you know, to get in front of a game, and then they might be able to slow it down a bit, or it just keeps them going. Or they run the other team off the pitch. But playing against the likes of Chelsea, I mean, Chelsea, as we know, are really a top class team with top class players, Eamon, and they'll do that all season. I think Leeds, Eamon, there'll be an inconsistency about them that I think I said on your program before. You know, they'll win matches you wouldn't expect them to win, and they'll lose matches you wouldn't expect them to lose.
Yes.
But there'll be no change in them.
No.
You know, I don't think he'd fear anybody.
No.
I think they'll go out and play. I think they'll do what they do. But again, I don't think he quite has the players to be able to do that in a big, tight match like against Chelsea.
No.
He'd surprise a few of the top boys as well, though, Eamon. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they gave Liverpool a run. They have one good player, new player, Rafinha. He's a Brazilian, left foot, plays wide on the right, coming inside. Very, very good footballer. But they need, as you say, an upgrade in players and a few bob in the club. Chelsea are going to be a good side. They have an awful lot of young players. Pulisic, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham. They have a young guy from Germany, Havertz, who's very, very good, but he hasn't shown yet. And they have a lad, Ziyech, also. Two guys, just 19, 20 years of age. He's not afraid to play them, Frank Lampard. I've been very impressed, John, with the way he's gone about the job. And these players, he's prepared to live with the pain, if you like, and let them play in the Premier League and gain experience. He's not looking for a quick fix.
No, I think his attitude has been good, and I think he's good. You know, you hear him after the match; he speaks very well.
Yeah,
and he's getting good players together. To be fair to him, I think that the owners has backed him.
Yes,
in getting Werner into the team. Yeah. He's got a goalkeeper.
Yes,
which he
very
didn't
good
have.
one. Yes,
you know, so I think he's getting the right players around him. There's no doubt, and now it's just a question of knitting them together.
Yeah.
And I think he's done really, really well with Chelsea. His attitude is good, and he's getting good players in. I think there's the Spurs there, of course, at the moment, but I think Chelsea might challenge Liverpool more than anybody else.
Okay,
overall.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think what might beat them might be inexperience because
Yes.
and there's certain big games like the Liverpool Chelsea game or Tottenham Chelsea game. These are big games, and you need to be battle hardened and experienced to play in those games. Just let's move on to Liverpool, John. Last night, 4-0 against a very good Wolves. Wolves are a good team, but I thought they were very, very up for it last night. Liverpool, they were sharp. The tempo was high tempo, pressure. I was hugely impressed with them.
Yeah, that's the way they've been aiming for a long time. Except now they're bringing younger players in and new players in and doing their stuff. It's just an attitude. Like when I spoke about Arsenal before, total opposite. You don't know what they're going to do. What are they going to do it this week? Or maybe they'll do it. In Liverpool, there's no question that they're going to do it.
No, there's not.
Their attitude is going to be right. It's not even a. We've talked about Manchester United before, with their attitude. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't do it. That doesn't happen with Liverpool.
No.
They just do it.
Yeah. And I want to ask you about Caoimhín Kelleher, young Irish man, a lad from Cork. Yeah. He's 22, and it looks like he's claimed the second goalkeeping spot. Adrian was on the bench. Now, Adrian had come in for Alisson on a few occasions and he looks error prone. This young lad from Cork looks to have a really sound judgment. There were a number of occasions last night, keeps his head, and then he's made the saves, keeps his head. What did you make of him?
I think he's terrific, Eamon.
Yeah.
He looks a terrific lad. His temperament is absolutely
very
brilliant.
Good.
He's able for it. He's got the abilities.
Yeah, his judgment is very good. There was a ball played over Matip's head in around the 75th minute, played in over Matip's head, and Kelleher was he had to make a decision whether to go headlong at the ball or whether to take a few steps back so that Matip could play it back to him. It's just one of those little moments where a stupid goalkeeper would make a balls of it, with head down. You know the ones I'm talking about. Yeah. But he was mature enough to take a few steps back to give Matip that bit of space to play it back to him comfortably. Yeah,
he looks excellent, Damien. I read in the paper he was a very, very good outfield player.
Really?
Yeah, I read it over the weekend in Cork. He was an excellent man. One of the best outfield players that the young team had.
Yeah.
And a goalkeeper got injured, apparently, and he went back and played in goal and stayed there.
Yeah.
I think he's terrific, Eamon. He's 22 now. Actually, I was talking to somebody last week. I think his best bet, Eamon, for himself would be to go out and loan. Like
Henderson did from Manchester United to Sheffield United last year.
Yes.
Right.
Because when they get Alisson back there, Eamon, who's a great goalkeeper, as we see, and goalkeepers don't get injured very much, He's 22 now, and I think he should be playing and would be best for him to play first team football.
Yeah, I agree with that, except I would make this point, John. You're right about goalkeepers not getting many injuries, but Alisson gets a lot. He's been out.
Yeah, but how many games has he missed? I'm talking about from the young fella's point of view, young Kelleher's point of view.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no question.
Okay, he's had a few injuries, but not. He's only missed about 6, 7, 8, 9 games in 2 or 3 years. I think that the young lad, 22,
get out
needs that now. I mean, he needs to be playing first team football. As he's shown now that he's good enough to do it. And he could only get better now playing in first team football. As you say, Henderson is a perfect example.
Yes.
Going to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And at that level, at that age and at that level, I think it would be the best thing for him. I don't think it'd be the best thing for Klopp, because if you got to keep it like that, obviously you want him.
You want him, and
there.
I don't think Klopp will be letting him go out on loan anytime soon. Now we have a listener, John. David Greeley's his name. And he has 2 questions he wanted me to ask you. I don't know why he didn't want my opinion, but I can't imagine. Can you? What do you get an email from a listener who says, with 2 questions about football, and he wants me to ask you. What about me? Anyway, the first question is from David about Milner. James Milner at Liverpool.
Yeah.
He's extolling the virtues of Milner, who I think we both think is a fantastic pro.
Yes.
And David wants you to say, is it important to have a player like that in your squad? And the second part of that question was, did you have anyone like that in the great Leeds side you played in?
Yeah, first of all, I think you want to get as many Milners with his attitude in the team, Eamon, as many as you can get. They don't. They're few and far between. He's a terrific lad. I mean, year in and year out. Even this year, Eamon, I know he's coming towards the end, I think. Any of the last 4 or 5 years, I would have made or certainly nominated Milner as Player of the Year.
Yes, undoubtedly. Yeah.
I think he's a great example as a pro.
Yes.
Every week, like we're talking about, again, I go back to Pogba, and I won't go long on Pogba, but if Pogba had Milner's attitude, he would be the best player in the world.
Yeah.
But attitude is everything. You don't have to have great skill to have the attitude right. I mean, I don't think Roy Keane was a great sort of player in terms of goals and passing the ball around and that. But for attitude, Eamon, attitude is your starting point. Milner is great. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him as a player. He's a great example to everybody.
Right.
A great example to everybody. I couldn't talk too much on that. I think he's brilliant. Yeah. And he's great to have at a club. Any player like that is great to have at a club.
Yeah, I totally.
We had one player. I'd say we had one player at Leeds. Attitude. Attitude. I'd say that the attitude at Leeds would have been Norman Hunter.
Yes.
Closely followed by Paul Madeley.
Yes.
Paul Madeley probably would be near him because he played in so many positions like Milner did. Never a word out of his mouth. Just got on with the job, week in, week out, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Eamon. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That attitude is everything. Norman Hunter had it all the time. All the time. Every minute, every second, every training second. Paul Madeley had it in a quieter type of way. He was played at right back, left back, centre back, midfield. Just got on with the job.
Yeah. Good pros.
No fuss, no bother.
Yeah.
Performed. Did it to the best of his abilities. And that's all you can ask of players.
It's priceless in any walk of life. It's particularly so in professional sport, where everyone has a basic talent set, if you like. But what sorts the guys out, the men from the boys, as they say, and the survivors from those who don't survive, is their attitude and their work ethic. Now, the second question David didn't want me to answer was about Trent Alexander-Arnold. And he wonders if you think Trent Alexander-Arnold would be better used or could be used as a midfield player, given how comfortable he is on the ball, and would his future maybe lie there? I have my own opinion about this, but I wasn't asked. You were.
I would doubt it, Eamon. The question is, would he make a top class midfield player now or later on? The first thing is, I don't know, but I doubt it.
Yes.
Because the further you go back in the football field, the more people there are in front of you, and there's less asked of you, particularly as a fullback. I think his distribution is brilliant, and it'd be very easy to say, well, could he play in midfield? When you're in fullback, there's nobody marking you to start with. You're marking other people, so you're free to go where you want to go and get on the ball, which he does, and he does it brilliantly. To put him in midfield, then you're asking somebody to do a totally different job altogether, which is much more difficult to do in the way that he does it from fullback.
Yep. And I would add to that as a midfield player, you might be getting the ball with your back to goal, whereas as a fullback, you're always getting the ball facing the way you want to go.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, the further you go back in football, the easier it is to play football. Obviously, in his case, I mean, he's a brilliant distributor of the ball with both feet. Yeah. I think I read somewhere where he was originally a midfield player.
He was, yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't be surprised at that. But there's a big difference coming onto the ball where you're facing where you want to be. Yeah. Then sometimes, as you said there, which are back to the play, where you have to make the space.
And you don't have as much time either in midfield on the ball as you would as a fullback. And as you say, there's no mark.
No, you're coming onto it, but the midfield players are bringing him into the game, and Robertson on the other side would be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, Robertson on the other side is not quite as good as distributors of the ball, and this is my take, but he's a better defender.
Yeah.
Than the young lad. But
Okay.
they're two terrific players, but definitely, I've seen a lot over the years, Eamon, where midfield players or even strikers can move to fullback.
Yeah.
I very seldom seeing fullbacks that can move
to
midfield players or strikers.